What's up, everybody? It's Teague from Battle City Games. I'm very excited today because I get to bring you a profile for Ancient Warrior Tri-Brigade. I love the Ancient Warrior archetype because it's based off of a Romance of the Three Kingdoms saga or the Dynasty Warrior video games, which is one of my favorite video games growing up. So seeing those released as Yu-Gi-Oh cards was really awesome to me, and I've been wanting to make a profile that I felt was competitive for them. So I've gone ahead and mixed them with Tri-Brigades. Now this is a little bit different than most Ancient Warrior Tri-Brigades builds you might see. A lot of those builds are really only playing 3 to 4 Ancient Warrior cards, but I really wanted to maximize that engine. So we've come up with a going second build that's going to take advantage of a lot of the cool Ancient Warrior effects. As always, if you enjoy the content, make sure you hit that thumbs up button and subscribe so you don't miss out on all of our future videos. Let's go ahead and dive on in. Alright, so like I said, this is a going second build, so first up is going to be triple copies of Ancient Warrior Virtuous Lu Juan. Lu Juan is an awesome card that you don't see get played too much in a lot of builds simply because he is only really useful if your opponent has monsters on board. But what he does is, while you control another Ancient Warrior monster, your opponent's monsters cannot target him for attacks. And then he has 2 different effects that you can only use once per turn. So first up, if your opponent controls more monsters than you do, you can send 1 card from your hand or field to the graveyard to special summon 1 Ancient Warrior monsters from your deck, except for himself. And then when an attack is declared involving another Ancient Warrior's monster you control, you can draw 1 card. So that first effect is great for just getting us some field presence. Obviously, if we're going second, our opponent's going to have monsters on board when we summon him. So we can then bring him out, discard ideally a Tri-Brigade card, and just go from there. And then that second effect, keep in mind, is whenever an attack is declared involving your monster. So if he does end up sitting on board and you have another Ancient Warrior on board and your opponent attacks that monster, you can actually get a draw from his ability then as well. So 3 is Lu Juan. And then the one that you usually see is going to be triple Sun Mu. Sun Mu is actually one of the most powerful Ancient Warrior cards. He has the ability that while you control another Ancient Warrior monster, your opponent's monsters cannot target him for attacks. And then he has 2 separate effects. You can send 1 card from your hand or field to the graveyard to add 1 Ancient Warrior monsters from your deck to your hand, except for himself. And then if your other Ancient Warrior monster's effect is activated, except during the damage step, you can target 1 monster your opponent controls and return it to the hand. So he is kind of a consistency card for the deck. He gets you whatever Ancient Warrior monster you may need at any given moment. And then that ability to bounce cards is great. Ideally, you want to leave him on board and then get your double Dragon Lords set up so that double Dragon Lords can activate to bounce a card, and then that'll trigger Sun Mu to activate to bounce another card. Moving on from there, we have the legendary warrior Guan Yu. We are only on 2 copies of Guan Yu, mostly because we had to make some space. But this is an absolutely amazing card in going second builds. It's basically built-in Pankratops for the deck. So what he does is if only your opponent controls a monster, you can special summon him from your hand, and your opponent cannot target other Ancient Warrior monsters you control with card effects. And then if your opponent controls more monsters than you do, you can just target 1 monster they control and destroy it. And if you happen to get more, like multiple Guan Yus on board, then that's even better because he is a 2500 beat stick. But the cool thing is, obviously if you open with him, you can just special summon him straight out. But you can also actually bring him out off of your Lu Juan and then use him to go ahead and get that destruction effect. So maybe if your opponent let the Lu Juan resolve because they had a negate they were trying to hold, and then you bring out the Guan Yu, that's basically going to force out any disruption they may have at any given time. Then for the last 2 Ancient Warrior monsters, we have the 1 Ingenious Zhu Kong and the 1 Rebellious Lu Feng. So Zhu Kong is awesome because if he's added to your hand by the effect of another Ancient Warrior card, he can just immediately special summon himself out. And then he has 2 separate effects. When a spell or trap card is activated, quick effect, you can send 1 face-up Ancient Warrior continuous spell trap you control to the graveyard to negate the activation. Or when a monster effect is activated while you control Lu Juan, quick effect, you can send 1 face-up Ancient Warrior's continuous spell trap you control to the graveyard to negate the activation. So we do play a couple copies of the Ancient Warrior spell traps in this deck. So if you happen to have one of those set up and then you search your Zhu Kong, he will come out as a negation on board already, which can be great to kind of catch your opponent off guard again if they were trying to hold some disruption for you. And then Rebellious Lu Feng is just a really awesome card, obviously based off of Lu Bu with his red hair. He has the ability that he cannot be normal summoned or set, and must be special summoned from your hand by controlling the highest attack Ancient Warrior monsters on the field. And you can only special summon him once per turn. Then once per turn during the main phase, quick effect, you can destroy the one face-up monster your opponent controls with the highest attack, your choice if tied. And then you cannot activate other monster effects except for Ancient Warrior effects. So turn you activate his ability, and then during the end phase, if your opponent controls the monster with the highest attack on board, you swap control of him over to your opponent. So the thing to remember here is really that ability that says that if you use his effect, you cannot activate other non-Ancient Warrior... Oh, bump my camera there. You cannot activate other non-Ancient Warrior card effects during that turn. So you don't just want to throw Lu Feng out willy-nilly if you maybe need to use some Tri-Brigade effects, but he can be a great card in a simplified game state, or just to put some big damage on board that has that looming threat there. So maybe you put him out and use his ability if you get forced into it, if it's the last resort or whatever. But he's just a really awesome card that I love and definitely wanted to include in the deck. And since he is so easy to special summon out, we definitely made that happen. So that's going to do it for the Ancient Warrior portion of the deck. Moving on into the Tri-Brigade. Of course, we're going to play triple copies of Fractal. Fractal's just the best starter card for Tri-Brigade engine, since you can discard him to send any other Tri-Brigade from your deck to your hand, or sorry, from deck to your graveyard, which gets all of your other effects going. And then he also has that ability that all Tri-Brigade monsters have, where if he is on the board, you can banish Beast, Beast Warrior, Wing Beast monsters from your graveyard in order to link summon a Beast, Beast Warrior, or Wing Beast Link monster. It's not considered a Link summon though, it's considered a special summon, so do keep that in mind. And then from there, we are also playing triple copies of Nerval. Nerval is one that's going to let you add any Tri-Brigade card to your hand, or Tri-Brigade monster to your hand when he is sent to your graveyard. So he's one you want to dump in order to usually add your Karis or whatever Tri-Brigade monster you actually plan on summoning. But keep in mind he's a level 1 Wing Beast with 0 attack, which will actually come up in a little bit. Moving on from there, we have triple Tri-Brigade Kit. Kit is great because she's just an added Foolish Burial for the deck when she's sent to a graveyard. So used to, you would have to discard Fractal, send Nerval, and then you'd add your Karis, and you'd only have 2 monsters in graveyard. Now, thanks to Kit, we can discard Fractal, send Kit, send Nerval, and then add whatever we need, so we have an instant Link 3 there no matter what. So she's a great card to have, and then just like the others, she shares that same ability to cheat out that Link summon if she is on your field. And then for the last Tri-Brigade monster, we're on double copies of Karis. Again, this is a card I would like to maybe consider bumping up to 3, because if your opponent tries to disrupt you, having that Karis to special summon out can be extremely powerful. But right now we're on 2 copies. 2 is fine. A lot of decks do only run to 2 copies. But his ability to just discard a card, special summon himself out, means that if you commit to your normal summon with something like your Ancient Warrior monsters, and your opponent goes ahead and disrupts those plays, then you can get your Karis online and just go from there to continue your combos. Now for the hand traps that we're playing in the deck, we've got triple copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. Right now she is still just the best generic hand trap you can play. She hits every single deck, at least somewhere in their combos. Now if you don't have Ash Blossom, substitute this with Ghost Bell would be my suggestion. Ghost Bell is only a $3 to $5 card depending on which rarity you pick up, so you can get an entire playset for around $15. Or if you have the Cyframe Gamma package, you could potentially substitute that in this slot as well. And then for the other hand trap, I've chosen to go with DD Crow. Reason being is obviously it is a Wing Beast monster, so if we are going second like we intend to, and we DD Crow our opponent on their turn, that just gives us an extra material in the graveyard to utilize with our Tri-Brigade monsters, so it synergizes very well there. And there are so many decks in the format right now that get hit by this card Obviously, you can hit other Tri-Brigade decks, you can hit Sky Striker decks. If you run across that crazy Eldritch player, you can hit their decks as well. So just a lot of uses for DD Crow, and it's one of the more affordable hand traps, which is always nice. And then for the last monster in the main deck, I saved this one for last. It is going to be one Brotherhood of the Fire Fist Raven. If you're not familiar with Raven, he just has an effect that says when he's sent from a field to a graveyard, you can add one Fire Formation spell or trap, or set one Fire Formation spell or trap from your deck to your field, which is very important, and I'll explain why in just a minute. But we are on the one copy of Raven. And of course, it's a Beast Warrior focused deck, so we are on triple copies of Tinky, which is actually what you'll be looking to set with your Raven. But this just allows you to get to any of your level 4 or lower Ancient Warrior monsters, such as your Lu Juan or your Sun Mu. It also gets you to your Fractal in order to get your Tri-Brigade engine going, which is nice because that means you're playing 6 copies of Fractal. And the reason we have the Raven in here is because we're actually playing triple copies of Tri-Brigade Airborne Assault. I love this card. You don't see a lot of people playing it, but it's got a really awesome effect. It is a quick play spell. It says you can target one Beast, Beast Warrior, or Wing Beast monster you control. Special summon one Beast, Beast Warrior, or Wing Beast monster from your deck in defense position with a different type and with attack less than or equal to that monster, but its effects are negated until the end of this turn. Also, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of a turn, except linked monsters, and you can only activate one per turn. So the idea here, and kind of a reason we have that Brotherhood of the Fire Fist Raven in the deck, is if you open with any of your Tri-Brigade monsters other than Nerval, once you summon them out, you can activate Airborne Assault, target them, special summon out your Raven, since he's a Beast Warrior, and Kit and Karis are both Beast, so they are both valid targets for that. And then when you link your Raven off with your Tri-Brigade cards, you will get to search your Tinky, which can then get you your Ancient Warrior monsters to get that side of your engine going, or Fractal if you need them. Or in addition, you can target any of your Ancient Warrior monsters, and they will allow you to special summon out your Narval. And then when you link those two off into something like your Ferragit or whatever else you may need at the time, that Narval will actually allow you to go ahead and search your Fractal to again get your Tri-Brigade engine going. So it's just a great consistency card that kind of allows you to flex towards whatever direction you're needing to complete your combos. Absolutely amazing card. If you haven't tried it out, I really recommend you give it a shot. And then for the only Ancient Warrior spells we could fit in the deck, it's double copies of Ancient Warrior Saga 3 Visits. This card says that during your main phase, if you normal or special summon a Ancient Warrior monster, you can target one of those monsters, add an Ancient Warrior monster with a different name from your deck to your hand, and then if this card is sent from a spell and trap zone to the graveyard, you can special summon an Ancient Warrior monster from your hand. Now this is sent to the graveyard during your third standby phase, but we don't really care about that because we probably won't make it that long in the game. This is a very OTK stylized deck. But 3 Visits is just a great card because if you start off with any of your Ancient Warriors like Lu Juan or Sun Mu, you can just normal summon them out and it will let you get whatever other Ancient Warrior you need. In a lot of cases that may be your Zhu Kong so that he can then special summon himself out. And since you have 3 Visits on board, you will have that negate instantly set up. In addition, you can send it with any of your Ancient Warrior abilities in order to go ahead and special summon another body out from your hand. So just a very versatile card, and I think 2 is the perfect number for it in this particular variant. And moving on into the traps, we're not playing too many of them. We do have triple copies of Infinite Impermanence. This is just one of the best hand traps in the format right now, guys. It hits Tri-Brigades if your opponent summons out their Karis or one of their other Tri-Brigade monsters and tries to go for the ability. You can hit them with Imperm, and in a lot of cases that'll just shut down their turn immediately. And it just hits so many other cards in the format that it's one of my favorite cards to include. If you don't have Imperm, you could substitute Effect Veiler in this slot. Imperm's just a little bit better because obviously it does shut off columns if you happen to set it, and then the fact that it also can be used during your own turn. So going second, if your opponent set up a board, maybe you draw the Imperm as your 6th card, you can go ahead and immediately shotgun it, targeting one of their interruptions, and that'll just straight up force out a disruption from them. And then for the last 2 trap cards in the deck, we are playing Tri-Brigade, so of course we're going to play one of their most broken cards, which is Tri-Brigade Revolt. Obviously, the idea is you set up your board, you search your revolt off of your Bear Brom, and then during your opponent's turn, you can revolt for your Shurag, or if you happen to need a different one, you can, but usually it's going to be your Shurag. So that's going to do it for the main deck. We'll go through the extra deck real quickly. I don't want to drag this out too long for you guys. So we are playing triple copies of Ancient Warriors Oath Double Dragon Lords. Oh, that's an Alma Rush. Ancient Warriors Oath Double Dragon Lords. Because we are playing Ancient Warrior variant, so we want to make sure that we have access to this guy multiple times in the game. Just an amazing card since he boosts all of your Ancient Warriors by 500 attack. So he comes out as 1600, and then he gives a pretty substantial boost to your other Ancient Warrior monsters you may have on board still. And then the ability to just add any Ancient Warrior cards when he is summoned, Link summoned specifically, remember, so you won't get that off of your Tri-Brigade effects. But like I said, we'll probably be Link summoning him correctly with our Ancient Warrior cards. So when he is Link summoned, you get to add any Ancient Warrior card from your deck to your hand. So that just, again, gives you versatility. You can search out Zhu Kong, you can search out your Lu Feng, whatever you need at any given moment. And then he does have that quick effect that allows you to send a card from your hand or field to graveyard, to bounce a card. So like I said, this synergizes extremely well with your Sun Mooks. If you have both, then that turns into a double bounce. Spoiler alert, you saw it already. We do have the one Almirage. This is our only Link 1 in the deck. And this is just because if you open up with your Raven in hand and you really don't have any other plays, you can summon the Raven and link it off into Almirage, and that will allow you to go ahead and search your Fire Formation Tinky in order to get your plays started. It's not ideal, but we want it in here just as an option to help us unburden our hands. For some of the other Link 2s, we are playing double Fairjeet the Baron Blossom. This is just a great card because it helps extend your plays by allowing you to special summon a Beast, Beast Warrior, or Wing Beast from your hand. And then that ability, when she's sent to a graveyard, to draw a card and then put a card to the bottom of your deck, does allow you to cycle out any dead cards. Maybe if you have double copies of a once per turn monster or anything else you don't need, you can potentially cycle it for a more useful card. We are also playing double copies of Tri-Brigade Bearbrun. This is an amazing card that we got in Lightning Overdrive that just allows us to, when she's sent to a graveyard, we can add any Tri-Brigade spell or trap from our deck to our hand. But keep in mind we are restricted into Tri-Brigade monsters after we utilize that effect. So ideally we want to save her for one of our last Link summoned plays that we're going to do, so we don't get locked out of any of our other extra deck cards like our Ancient Warrior monsters. But she's just an all-around great card for the deck that allows for some consistency and explosive plays. Then for the last Link 2, one Bujinki Ahashima. This is a great card. It just takes two monsters with the same level, and when she's Link summoned, you can special summon one monster, two monsters with the same level, one from your hand and one from your graveyard, and then immediately after that you can exceed summon with those cards, which we will show you the one exceed monsters we play in a minute. And then when you summon an exceed monster to a zone she points to, you can destroy a spell or trap card your opponent controls. Just a good one-of option to give you some versatility. And then for our Link 3s, we have one Rugal the Silver Sheller and one Samord Bird of Sovereignty. Rugal obviously allows you to get some disruption during your opponent's turn, thanks to that quick effect to special summon one from your graveyard. Also, if you, depending on how the game's going, since that card returns to your hand at the end of a turn, it can also set you up for your next turn. And Samorg, you may have noticed we're not playing the Wind Statue in the main deck. That's because we are going second variant. But in most cases, if your opponent notices that you prefer to go second, they will make you go first if they get the choice. So we play with Samorg in the extra deck so that we can side in the Barrier Statue of Stormwinds in order to allow us to make a going first board that hopefully our opponent cannot break because they will not be expecting it. And then for the Link 4s in the deck, of course, we've got Shurg, the Ominous Omen. Two copies of this guy. You could play 3 if you're really expecting the grind game, but with the Ancient Warriors mixed in, we're really not expecting the game to go that long. But just an all-around fantastic card that allows you to disrupt your opponent's board with his Banish effect. And again, the card you're usually going to be summoning off of your Revolt. And then for the last Link 4, we have the one Appaloosa Bow of the Goddess. You can go into this if you're fearing a Nibiru, maybe if your opponent did make you go first. You can just drop the Apollosa early in order to prevent them from hitting you with Nibiru or any other disruptions. Just a good option to have in that Link 4 slot. And then for the last card, we have one Brotherhood of the Fire Fist Tiger King. This is the card you're going to be summoning off of your Bujinki Ahashima, and he will allow you to search a Tenki, so it's kind of another extender if you already haven't used it. You're not going to be using him all the time, honestly. If you wanted, you could potentially cut him for a access code talker and then maybe cut the Ahashima for something like a Herald's Vlog, the Desperate Doom Eagle. It's a hard name to pronounce. But it's totally up to you. I like the Tiger King in here because he does also have that ability to negate your opponent's entire board. So again, if you bring him out and they're not expecting it, he can just completely mess up their plans. And that's going to do it for a deck profile, guys. Like I said, I love the idea of Ancient Warriors. Just the fact that they're based off of one of my favorite games from my childhood is really awesome to me. But let me know what you think of the deck down in the comments below. I also have some different pure Ancient Warrior decks, so let me know if you would like to see one of those profiles potentially. And as always, please give that video a thumbs up button. It really helps us. And don't forget to subscribe. We've got Dawn of Majesty coming out soon, and you can bet we have a lot of profiles lined up for that. Till next time, I'm Teague with Battle City Games.